Press red now for your training module with Harry ahead of a mission in a few weeks. And if you can't wait for next Thursday's episode of Spooks here on BBC1, it's on BBC3 in half an hour.
She's in there now, bleeding to death. So what?
When the pressure is really on.
Sort it out, Tony, or I will.
You just want to keep me out of hospital.
Do you stay and fight your corner?
I've got 5 days left. That's 4 nights.
If you can't stand to work with the bloke, then at least give him a reference so you can get on with your life.
Or do you walk away?
You're leaving, he's not.
I'm good at what I do, Roger. I just want to keep on doing it.
Bodies continues Saturday at 9:10, followed by the next episode on BBC3.
Question time tonight from the Labour Party conference city of Brighton, with Patricia Hewitt, Secretary of State for Health, Kenneth Clarke, who wants to lead the Tory party, and Janet Street-Porter, among those who will be facing our audience. Oh, and all hecklers welcome. Question time tonight, 10:35, BBC1, after the news.
And with the 10 o'clock news on BBC1, Hugh Edwards and Mike Ramsden.
The race for the Tory leadership is picking up speed. There are now 5 candidates. David Davis and David Cameron are the latest to set out their reasons for wanting the job.
Britain is crying out for a more straightforward manner of government.
If we change, we can win, but we've got to have the courage to do it.
We'll be assessing the state of the campaign so far. Also tonight, more violence in Iraq leaves at least 60 people dead and many injured. Ian Huntley will stay in prison for at least 40 years for the Soham murders. And Labour welcomes back the veteran delegate it threw out yesterday.
On BBC London News, Sally Ann's murder is linked to another sexual assault 4 years ago in Purley. And the Met's top officer admits its shoot-to-kill policy needs more public support.
Good evening. The race to be Conservative leader is gathering speed. David Davis, the Shadow Home Secretary, and David Cameron, the Education spokesman, have both been explaining why they should take over and how they would revive the party's fortunes. Kenneth Clarke, Liam Fox and Sir Malcolm Rifkind have all already declared. Our political editor, Nick Robinson, has this report.
David wants to be Tory leader. So too does David. David's video says the party's got to change. David's speech said so too. At one leadership launch, there's open-neck shirts. At the other, collars and ties. David Cameron is the young pretender, the boy from Eton. David Davis is almost 2 decades older. The man who grew up on a council estate brought up by a single mother says traditional Tory policies, tax cutting and spending wisely, can deliver modern Conservative goals.
We're not in politics for ourselves. We're not here to defend privilege or accept the status quo. We have a real purpose, to change Britain and to improve lives.
The ranks of Tory MPs, a sign of his front-runner status, evidence, he says, that he can build a new Tory consensus. But today, at least, belonged to David Cameron, who, without a note and with a glimpse of star quality, argued that the Tories' whole culture and identity had to change.
This party has got to look and feel and talk and sound like a completely different organisation. It's got to be positive. I want no more by-election campaigns or general election campaigns when our message is overwhelmingly negative and when we just attack our opponents.
When I spoke to him later, he said the Tories should change their policies too, in particular on health.
We were putting forward the idea of greater choice and competition in health. I think that's right. But one particular part of the policy, the idea that you could buy your way off an NHS waiting list, I think that just confirmed in people's minds a view that the Conservatives didn't care about those people left in the health service. It was just to help a few more get out of the health service. I think that's a mistake, and that's why we should change it.
Some compare Cameron with the young Tony Blair, but today it was the other David who showed that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Opportunity for the many, not just the privileged few.
Power, wealth and opportunity in the hands of the many, not the few.
Mr Davis rejects the idea that he's just mouthing his opponent's words.
He moved onto our ground. We're going to fight him for that ground because it's based on ideas which are Tory ideas about freedom, choice, opportunity, competition, those things that will deliver better healthcare, better education, better law and order, the things that people want.
Better Blairism.
It's not better Blairism. Since when? Since when has a commitment to using market instruments to help everybody in society been Blairism? Actually, you could equally well describe it as Thatcherism. I mean, you go back long enough, she cut taxes, she gave right to buy of council houses. Was that Blairism?
Was that Davisism? Is that what you want to do?
It was conservatism. That's the point, yes.
So behind the glitz and the rhetoric of the two Tory Davids today, a real choice emerged. Nick Robinson, BBC News, Westminster.
Sorry. And we can talk to Nick now at Westminster. Nick, today's declarations were, well, they were hardly unexpected, but what is the impact, you think, now on this campaign?
Well, the differences are so fascinating, aren't they? David Davis, clearly the front-runner, clearly the favourite, and behaving as front-runners do. Careful, cautious, competent, surely. David Cameron risked disintegrating his campaign today, but with that little flash of star quality, he's got some momentum. Now, remember, Hugh, that the rules mean only two of these guys will ever face the Tory electorate, the membership as a whole. The guys in there, the MPs, who will choose those two. And bizarrely, one MP here or one MP there could determine whether that man David Cameron goes forward or Kenneth Clarke, Liam Fox or Malcolm Rifkind. They are fighting rhetorically for that few votes. And today, David Cameron may well have won one or two.
Well, the result we're talking about, Nick, is not due, of course, for another 2 months. What are the views there on the pros and cons of such a long campaign?
More like the cons and cons, I think, in truth, Hugh. The Tory party wanted this over quickly. They want to take on Tony Blair, of course. They have now set a date. We will get the results in early December, and then they think they can get going again. Now, the problem is, do they divide in that period? Up till now, they've managed to be calm and polite. Next week, they all face the voters, the electorate of the Tory party, at the Tory conference. And today, with David Davis talking about Thatcherism and David Cameron talking about change to us, we saw the beginning of that divide emerge.
Nick, many thanks. At least 62 people have been killed and more than 60 injured by 3 car bombs in a town north of Baghdad.